5 years ago, Zack Polanski was a hypnotherapist who claimed he could enlarge women's breasts using the power of his mind. Today, he is the single biggest political threat to Keir Starmer's Labour government. That is the state of British politics in 2026. Welcome back to British Reform. Let's get into it. Because the Zack Polanski story is not just a quirky political sideshow anymore. This is a full-blown existential crisis for Labour, and the numbers back it up entirely. In February, the Green Party won the Gorton and Denton by-election in Manchester, Labour's 38th safest constituency. Not just won it, but beat Labour into a humiliating third place by 5,000 votes, with Reform pushing hard in second. Think about what that means. Labour didn't just lose a seat. They came third, in their own backyard, while Polansky stood outside and basically said, "This is what replacing the Labour Party looks like." And honestly, it's hard to argue with him. Now, before we get into the mechanics of how this is happening, let's just appreciate Keir Starmer's response to losing Gorton and Denton, because it tells you everything. He sent an email to Labour MPs describing the Greens as having shown their true colours in the campaign. This email landed in inboxes on the Saturday morning after the defeat. MPs were still in their constituencies, nursing their wounds, trying to explain to constituents why they just watched Labour collapse. And the message from the top was essentially, "Don't worry, the Greens are extremists." Labour insiders have since confirmed that Starmer himself has accepted that framing is not just ineffective, it's actively counterproductive. It took losing a by-election to work that one out. As political strategy goes, that is a bit like discovering fire after the house has already burned down. So who exactly is Zack Polanski? And why is he causing this level of panic? He's the Green Party leader, a London Assembly member, and he has managed to do something genuinely difficult in modern politics. He has built a credible, growing, energetic political movement out of a party that most people previously associated with bicycle lanes and composting. Under his leadership, the Greens have been on a surge. He's charismatic, he's sharp, he's savvy enough to run a campaign in Gorton and Denton that barely talked about climate and instead hammered Labour on Gaza, the cost of living, welfare cuts, and Keir Starmer's relentless centrist drift. And it worked. Spectacularly. But here's the bit that will actually keep Labour strategists awake at night. Polansky isn't just taking votes. He's having informal conversations with Labour MPs, up to 10 of them, according to reports in the Times. Not defections, not yet, but discussions. Conversations. MPs telling the Green leader privately that they'd be happier in his party but are staying put for strategic reasons. One Labour MP even admitted to journalists that their party had vacated the centre-left ground, and that Polansky had filled it. When your own MPs are effectively saying the Green leader has a point, you have a problem that no email from number 10 is going to fix. And now Polansky is going after the unions. Last week he addressed the National Education Union Conference and got a reception so warm it apparently surprised even him. The NEU is one of the biggest teaching unions in the country. In the 2024 general election, 2/3 of its members voted Labour. Now polling shows less than 1 in 5 would do so again, and around a quarter plan to vote Green. The Communications Workers Union has Labour disaffiliation motions on its agenda. Polansky has also been invited to speak at the University and Colleges Union and the Bakers Union conferences. He stood at picket lines during the wave of strikes in 2022 and 2023, when Starmer told his shadow cabinet to stay away. He accumulated goodwill with organised Labour that Starmer systematically threw away. Now he's cashing it in. And then there's London. Because if you thought Gorton and Denton was bad, brace yourself for what's coming in May's local elections. New data circulating among Labour campaigners suggests the party could lose 741 council seats across the capital alone, plummeting from first place to fourth. The Green Party under Polansky could pick up over 500 of those seats, becoming the biggest party in London. Labour could lose Hackney, Lambeth, Lewisham, Waltham Forest, Greenwich. Flagship Labour councils, gone. That's not a protest vote. That's a restructuring of London politics in real time. One Labour source has already described it as a potential political earthquake. And it's not just the Greens doing the shaking. Reform are simultaneously tearing chunks out of Labour's working-class vote in the North and the Midlands. Labour is being squeezed from both sides simultaneously, which is quite an achievement for a party that won a landslide less than 2 years ago. What makes Polansky particularly effective is that he's turned Labour's contradictions into campaign material. He calls Starmer's Labour closer to reform than to the Greens. He says the link between Labour and the trade union movement is breaking. He proposes a wealth tax of 1% on fortunes over £10 million and 2% over £1 billion, raising $15 billion a year. Whether you think that's credible or not, it sounds bold and concrete. Two things Starmer's economic messaging has conspicuously failed to be. And when Starmer responded to Polansky's drugs policy by saying his teenage son could legally buy heroin, Polansky simply pointed out that drug deaths have risen every single year for the last 13 years and Britain has the highest drug death rate in Europe. That's not a fringe position. That's a public health argument, and it landed. Labour does have lines of attack. Party chair Anatoly has gone after Polansky's economic credibility, citing economists' concerns about the Greens' fiscal plans. They're digging into his past. They've reportedly decided to get their boxing gloves on. But here's the problem. When one of your own MPs describes a rival as having filled the ground you vacated, attacking that rival personally isn't a strategy. It's a distraction. And the May elections are going to make or break what remains of Keir Starmer's authority within his own party. This is the story of British politics right now. A prime minister at his lowest ever approval ratings, a former hypnotherapist turning the left-wing vote upside down, and a governing party that can't agree internally on how to fight a threat it didn't see coming until it was already standing in their living room. If you want to stay on top of every twist, every poll, every internal Labour meltdown, and every Polansky press conference, you know exactly what to do. Subscribe to British Reform. Drop a comment below on what you think happens in May, and we'll see you in the next one.